Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. It is Jared and Bob coming at you. No Mitch again. Shout out to Mitch. I don't know. We've been trying to figure it out. He'll get on eventually. At some point when he's not traveling the world and super busy and being a rum runner. That's something I want to talk to him about. When he was texting me the other day, he was telling me he was driving back from wherever he was driving back from. Um, he mentioned he had like 12 bottles of bourbon in his car with him. And I was like, okay, like, what are you, a modern day bootlegger or something? You trying to like rum run this like through the Midwest, like the olden days? But I mean, apparently he was saying, which makes sense when you think about it. Um, he was saying that there's way less like regulation or allocation of everything down there. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense because that's literally where it all comes from, right? Like it all
So,
comes from Kentucky, and he's
so the
not that
funny
far
thing is,
away.
though, I've heard that even in Kentucky, it's just as hard, if not harder, it's always certain things. Like
Yeah,
people go, "Oh, well, the brewers in Kentucky, they'll have everything," and it's like the brewery, the fucking distillery is in
yeah.
Kentucky. Well, they'll have
Big
everything, and it's
brewery
like,
guy.
and some people say that they're like, "No, you can't find it here."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much of that's true, or if it's like, you know. I think Barton County is one of the big counties, and like I don't know which distilleries are there. And then if you're in like a different county, I don't know how much that fucks with it, but I've heard that too. Like
Yeah,
in Kentucky, it's allocated as well, like because a lot of people like to get their product out,
yeah, yeah. No, that's
which
true. I feel like Tennessee is probably one of the better places though, just because it's not Kentucky, right? It's a little bit more populated, and it has big cities like Memphis and Nashville in it. Like when we were in Nashville, like one of the million times that we've been to
yeah,
Nashville
we did
now.
okay.
Um, I feel like we found everything. Right?
Truth
Like it
be
was
told,
that
dude,
random bar on 6th Street on the way to Thank God for Dats
well that
that
hold on,
we
that
found the Weller.
that was in Austin though.
Oh shit, you're right. That was Austin. I'm
I was gonna
conflating Austin
say,
and Nashville.
so if like looking at because I've thought about this, looking back on it, and I was like, oh my God, remember that time we spent $600 on bourbon? And then I'm like, which
Yeah, so
time?
maybe Austin was better than Nashville for bourbon.
So, Austin, so far, the cities that I've been to, now, some of these places I haven't actively pursued it. Like, so one of these cities, there's a bit of a qualifier on there. So I thought Austin had the best selection of bourbon throughout multiple places.
Savannah was really good
I
too.
thought Savannah was second, but
Yeah.
you and I also kind of actively pursued everything we could find
Right, right.
in Savannah. And then even Austin, we would not have gone to that. Was it like a little tiki hut place
You had a little hole in the
where
wall,
my
like
where I had to
right around
fucking
the
call
corner.
JetBlue and like confirm that I actually made that purchase?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it was like a little tiki hut place thing. I don't know what the fuck it was. That place was awesome. That had
yeah,
such good bourbon. So it's like,
yeah.
and then yeah, yes, we got fucked on. I absolutely fucked you on the Sazerac,
Yeah, I mean,
like the
whatever.
the B-Tac Sazerac. Which looking back now, who gives a fuck? Two,
Yeah.
have you ever seen a bottle in person since
Nope.
then? I have
Nope.
not either.
I have not.
So
Yeah.
if we divide that over the years, it's like we barely paid anything per year over that. Um, But so yeah, because that's the thing is like Austin, I pursued because I needed to even off the tabs a little bit.
Yeah.
Savannah, it was like we did everything we could to find bourbon places.
Right.
Uh, Charleston, I've done a little bit, but not like we've done.
Right.
But all that to say, most major cities, you can usually find some decent stuff. So like even Abe and Louie's when I was there in December, which you think Boston, whatever, like they had Eagle Rare, they had all the basics that you would like want to drink, and then they did have a BTAC Weller as well. So I you kind of it's kind of not an easy apples to apples unless you're like kind of in the cities
Right.
because it's like Sixth Street in Austin. What would be like? I mean, not one for one here, but what would be the Boston equivalent?
It's a great question.
Probably not
Um,
fair, right? Maybe because it's like because the problem with Sixth Street in Austin is not only does it stretch all the way across the entire city, it's got areas and certain. It's got this, it's got that.
yeah, we just don't have
We don't
Boston
really
doesn't
have.
have a street, right? Like there's
Yeah,
no
because it's like we
like,
don't have a Bourbon Street, but like you can't ask Boston to have a Bourbon Street.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
Fremont kind
the
of.
seaport is probably the closest
So
you're
that's what I
gonna
was gonna say
get.
is like
And that's like
if you
a
drop into the
blocks of an
seaport,
area.
but that's the thing. So it's like if you just drop into the seaport, you'll probably find a really good selection. You're just gonna have to go to a few different places, a few different areas. Like you might have to go into Ocean Prime. Like
Yeah.
you might have to do some of that stuff, but I'm sure it's there.
I wonder, I feel like Bill would know this because he lived there for a while, but I wonder if there is like a random spot in like the Back Bay that would have stuff like that.
Or I mean, like Boyle. I mean, Abe and Louie's on Boylston Street. I mean, that
Yeah.
seems like a pretty main drag. I mean, more
Or honestly,
restaurants.
if you really want, if you're chasing high-end bourbon, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna find a couple places in Boston because it's a major city and it is what it is, right? But I feel like you'd have better luck somewhere like Brookline or Chestnut Hill or Alston, like that area. You know what I mean? Like you could find like a goofy restaurant there that would have that stuff.
Yeah, but that might only be one. So, because the point I was trying to make is we don't go into Boston like we go to other cities.
True.
Um,
I'm also just realizing now that Boston doesn't have a street. Like
well,
even
because I was gonna say like,
Providence has a street. Like there's fuck, the street in Federal
don't
Hill.
know.
I forget
I've
what it's
never
called.
been.
But the like the Federal Hill Street, I forget what it is. Market Street, maybe? I don't know. I forget. But then there's another one over by the water that we used to go to all the time. There was a club over there that we used to go to in college. Um, I think it was a Whiskey Priest or something like that, right on the water, or Whiskey Republic, maybe it was called. I don't know, but like that's like a street that's over there. So Providence almost has two, and like there isn't really a street in Boston.
No, and I think that has to do with a little bit of the architecture of Boston, right? So it's like Naples has Fifth Ave. Like Fifth Ave is a long,
Right,
high-end road of restaurants, bars, shopping, etc.
right,
So it's like Newbury Street is really not that long, but that's where all the stores are.
right.
Yes, there's restaurants, but I don't think I would like I guess if I was bourbon hunting, I don't think it would be um I don't think Newbury Street would be my road.
No, because Newberry Street, like you said, it's all shops. It's like the high end,
And
like
then
Gucci, Prada, like all those places.
I think there's more restaurants than we're giving it credit for, but regardless of, it's really not that long of a street, all things considered. And it stretches a good distance. It's just not that long. It's
Right.
Boston, and I think that's the problem is Boston is like fucking cow pasture pavement or paved over cow pastures. That's kind of
Yeah.
what I was kind of trying to say, but
Yeah.
I was speaking in tongues. So it's like we could have had a road stretch all the way from Fenway Park to the north end.
Right.
There's a direct route if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
but we don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the roads that do that are travel roads. So that's like Memorial Drive in Cambridge or Sturrow or like Boylston Street. Boylston Street's probably the closest thing you're going to
That's kind of
get
what I was thinking.
because that goes from
That's pretty long.
Fenway. Like really, it goes from like Chestnut Hill almost into the downtown area.
Yeah. And I think that might be because it's got enough going on. It's close enough to the Peru, so you could just like scoot over down a side road. Now you're kind of like in the Copley, Back Bay sort of area. Like,
Yeah,
I think if you just like took a helicopter and got dropped off at the Peru, I think that might be the answer because you have Copley, Back Bay, and Boylston all kind of like
right,
pretty close. Because when we went to Savannah, it's River Street is down by the river. That's the where there's no rules, whatever.
right.
Then we would come up and there was another street with a B. I don't remember what it was called, but that looked like a more modern, not southern
Yeah.
street, and that's
Don't
kind of
forget
where we
about Jones Street, the most beautiful street in the country.
most beautiful street in North America, but that's all residential. Yeah, whatever that other beat wasn't not Boynton, Bragg, not gonna work here anymore. Um, yeah, I mean, like there's roads like that. It's
Bay
just
Street.
no, it wasn't Bay. It was something else.
Yeah,
Wrong.
I got River and Bay Street run parallel to each other.
It wasn't Bay. It had some other crazy name. I wish I wish I remembered um I wish I remembered the restaurants we went to. Yeah, it's over from Broughton. Um Broughton Street was like
Oh yeah.
very much just like a major
Was
city's main drag,
was that by the barbecue place that we went to 6 times?
probably. Smokehouse. Jones went
Smoke.
like Jones,
Yes.
is it as bright as I remember? He goes, I mean, it's bright, but like I was like, well, I was fucking
Yeah, every time we
hammered,
went there, we were hammered.
absolutely smashed. But yeah, I mean, like, and I've just found success with bourbon when we go to cities, and it's just an odd concept because I've never gone to downtown Providence, and I avoid Boston like the plague.
Charlotte
But
was not good.
Charlotte sucks. That city fucking
Yeah,
blows.
Charlotte sucks just in general.
In general, yeah, I got like someone could probably show me. It's like, well, you've never been to this area. It's like, okay, well, I've been to a couple main spots on either side of the stadium, and they sucked.
Yeah.
So I got no use for Charlotte. Like that is like generic, newer build corporate conference city, and it sucks.
Yeah. Everything is high rise. It's just financial. Everything is financial.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So no thank you on Charlotte. That was the number one place that we've had the most trouble with.
Yeah. And the
Like,
fucking train, the train that was across the street from our
yeah, but
Airbnb.
that's the thing is like if you're gonna stay near a fucking freight train, like it's gonna go
Yeah.
by for like legitimately 5 consecutive minutes.
Yeah.
And when you time that out, like it's oh, 5 minutes isn't that long. It's like, no, start a stopwatch. 5 consecutive minutes. That's a fucking long time.
Yeah. That was probably one of the funniest things I've ever experienced just because growing up in the Northeast, we don't have that. Right? Like we don't have freight, or at least where we grew up, like in the city, right? Like we had the subway and we had the MBTA and stuff, but like freight trains, like we don't have those. You know what I mean? So
No,
like
it was
to
not very
see
often a freight
to
train
see an
came.
actual freight train go for, like you said, a solid consecutive 5 minutes, it was like, Jesus Christ, there's more train?
It
Like
was
this is such a
between
long train.
the like culture shocks of like, hey, Northeast guy,
Yeah.
was the freight train in Charlotte and the cargo ship in Savannah. That
Yeah.
thing was fucking
That thing
huge.
was massive.
Like ridiculous. That thing would not fit in the Boston Harbor.
No. No.
No way.
No, it's actually really funny you say that because I forget this was like last week. I forget whether I was landing in Boston or landing in Philly, but on one of my flights, there was a massive cargo ship out on the
To have been
ocean,
in Philly, definitely wasn't in Boston. No way.
and you could see other boats nearby, and you're like, those look kind of small. And then you look at the cargo ship, and you're like, holy shit. Like that's a regular size boat, and then there's a cargo ship. Like the cargo
Yeah.
ship was massive.
That thing in Savannah was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why a lot of importing is New York, New Jersey. Now, I don't know what the exact ports are, but
Right.
and obviously it helps that it's the population and the avenues that that is, and it's much more
Exactly.
centrally
Yeah.
located than Boston.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I was gonna say like we can't handle anything that big.
Yeah. No way.
Like New York has got to be the closest,
Yeah.
and
I
then
would say
like
so.
place like DC. I mean, I don't even know if Baltimore can do it.
Yeah. I think Baltimore is a port city. Like I think they're a big
Maybe they
receiving
can.
port.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes the bridges get in the way, but hey. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, actually, as I'm thinking about it, it's gotta be it's gotta be it's gotta be Baltimore because then where would it be?
Right.
Delaware?
Yeah. It ain't gonna be Delaware.
And like I don't know, I haven't heard of Virginia being a very like industrial place.
It's not. You know, it's not the Carolinas because that's all their whole coastline is just beach and resorts.
I was gonna say Charleston. Charleston has the harbor, I think. Does the
Yeah.
Mississippi run through South Carolina too? Because that's the big thing is it's the Mississippi that does all this
No.
shit.
No, the Mississippi goes from like Minnesota to Louisiana.
Oh, I'm way off.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a few hundred miles.
A
It's no big
different
deal.
river. Yeah, there's a different river running through that way. Does the Colorado River come through?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if
Because that's the
whatever
thing,
river it
Savannah's the
is
because
is fed off of the Mississippi.
well, because Savannah, that big cargo ship, that wasn't the ocean. That
No,
was a river. I
right.
don't know which one, but clearly.
Yeah, just some river.
I mean, it has to be big enough to fucking have cargo ships run through it.
It's the roads cut. Oh, it's the Savannah River.
Oh, dude, how'd they come up with that name?
What do you know? It's this is hilarious. So the main island on the end of Savannah River is called Cockspur Island.
Get your fucking head out of the gutter. That's not even good.
Yeah.
You're a cockspur.
So yeah, it's the Savannah River that looks like it runs all the way up through Augusta, fed by the J. Strom Thurmond Reservoir and the Russell B. Lake, the Hartwell Lake. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised if this is somehow connected. Yeah, I've got it all the way back to Tennessee. It looks like it ends in Tennessee. So there's a giant lake in Tennessee, Lake Keowee, and it goes all the way down through Georgia and out Savannah. So there's your sarcasm speaks on geography. U.S. rivers. But yeah, the bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon's good.
Did you, did you happen to see anything in like Monterey? Or you guys stayed at the resort, right?
Yeah. Stayed at the resort. Usually, so I've been to two. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been to Kiwa and I've been to Pebble. Uh, Usually on the resort, it's like your basics and then like your maybe like your second tier stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they
Yeah.
might have like a Blanton's kicking around, but like
I think that's a
Eagle Rare might be as
California
nice as
thing.
it gets.
Because like I don't think California is big into bourbon. Like I remember when I was in San Diego, like there wasn't like again, like you said, they had some stuff, right? Like you're gonna get your second tier stuff. Like they maybe had a couple of things here and there, but there wasn't anything that was like, knock your socks off in San Diego. And I
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
explore too
it could
much in
just
San Francisco,
be
but
like way too well. So again, this is the other piece is you find the right places, they'll have it.
right.
It's just I don't know if you can just walk down fucking Broughton Street and go, this place looks all right, and then you go in and it's like, wow, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot more because actually I did okay on bourbon in Portsmouth when I was just like kind of kicking around before Fodge's wedding
Yeah.
or before the rehearsal, whenever I was just like wandering the fucking city by myself. I mean I covered it all, but I did okay there as well. Um yeah, I mean California, I didn't spend enough time really like looking or really like off the resort because even like the first night in Monterey we went to some place it was fucking terrible. That's on us though. Like should not have gone there. Um no, sorry, first night we just got smashed at the hotel. No. What the fuck did we do? Maybe it was the second night we got smashed at the hotel. I don't know.
It was like the first night in Charleston. Chris was like, "Do you
Getting
want to
nuked and
just get
watched the Celtics.
nuked and watch the Celtics?" It's like,
It's
all right,
fucking
yeah, sure.
thunderstorms out. Um yeah, yep, get nuked. No, no problem on that front.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know. I think it must have been the first night because she felt like shit. Like all the travel, she just did not fucking feel good. And the place we went to was terrible. It was just fucking bad. And I like should have fucking known, but like wasn't thinking of it at the time. Like
Yeah.
so fine. And then I think we got nuked the second day at the hotel. And then after that, we were on the resort. So
Right. Right.
um, didn't really give me a lot of time to explore. So I definitely don't have a feel for what that's like. Um, I guess next time I go, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Um, all right. What else we got here? You want to touch on the Vrabel stuff? We
We
somehow
can.
have we somehow haven't really gotten to that. I mean,
We can. Do you have an angle? Um,
um yeah, I mean, the angle is so I've come around on the Vrabel thing. Um, since he's been hired and since I've seen some of his interviews and since I've, just kind of see how he's handled everything so far.
well, let's do
Um,
this. What did you not like about the idea of Mike Vrabel going into this
I
process?
didn't like the idea of Vrabel because I thought it was more lust for the Belichick dynasty, Brady, like nostalgia, right? Like we had the 20 years, 20, 25 years, whatever you want to call it, of the Brady Belichick dynasty, right? I know the last 3, 4 years with Bill weren't great. Obviously, he got fired. Um, and then the Crafts bring in Mayo, right? And Gerard Mayo was the prodigal son, right? He was the captain of the defense. He was all pro. Was he an all pro as a rookie? Or he won rookie of the year? He might have been an all pro later. He led the league in tackles, I think, as a rookie, maybe when he won rookie of the year. Like he was a stud. He was an absolute stud. He was a fantastic linebacker. He was great. He's arguably one of the best middle linebackers in the team history. He's up there with a Brewski, with those guys, right? Like um, he comes in as a coach and just kind of soured from day one, right? Like day one on the podium, he's talking shit about Belichick. All he could talk about is how he was different, how everything's going to be different. And it's like, all right, whatever. Obviously, it was a train wreck. The team was a fucking disaster, and they fired him after 1 year. And then immediately everyone was like, "Oh, Vrabel's the answer. Vrabel, it's the answer." And I sat there and I'm like, please don't do this. We just did this. We literally just did this for the last year. Like we got rid of Bill, right? And I'm on record. You can go back. It's in the archives here. The both of us really, the last like year and a half probably, I think we were both all set with Bill, right? We were like, we're done. We're done. It's time for Belichick to move on. Every coach eventually runs out of steam, even the great ones, right? We talked about Claude and Tito, right? And now it's now Belichick you can add to that list. Even the greatest coach of all time, eventually is going to run his course, right? Like eventually, like no one can be a coach in one spot forever. Eventually, it just gets stale. Like something happens and it just goes wrong. I think Tito is a great example of that, right? Just with the Red Sox, and then he leaves and goes to Cleveland, and then Cleveland's nasty forever. So it's like clearly he's good at his job. It's just the messaging gets stale after time. It's just it is what it is. So the whole thing about like the infatuation with Vrabel, I was just like, please, like, don't do this. Like I don't want it. I don't want the glory days. I don't want the nostalgia. I don't want the, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be different. It's like just give me the young offensive mind. And then the more I thought about it, the more I developed the opinion of I would prefer the up and coming offensive head coach because when you have someone who appears, right, in Drake May, he appears to be very good. We'll see, right? CJ Stroud appeared to be very good his rookie year, and he sucked this year. Mac Jones appeared to be very good his rookie year, and look at where he's at now. So it appears after 1 year, Drake May might be something, might be something. He could be, right? He also could not be. We don't know. No one knows. So, in my opinion, to develop that potential resource at quarterback, if you have the offensive head coach, you have the Ben Johnson, you have the Bobby Slowick, you have that guy, you have the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, that guy, like the young offensive mind as the head coach. He's now with the quarterback for the duration of his time at the team. If you hire someone like Mike Vrabel needs to find an offensive coordinator to come in and develop Drake May. And maybe he picks a good one. And maybe he picks a very good offensive coordinator, and you get the next Kevin O'Connell, Bobby Slowick, right? Like you get that guy, the Matt LaFleur who came from Sean McVay, and Mike McDaniel who came from Kyle Shanahan. Maybe you pick the right guy. Maybe you pick someone who's awesome to be your offensive coordinator. Well, 3 years from now, he's going to get hired as a head coach, right? Like if he does a really good job and Drake May really is that good, then he's going to be a head coach somewhere because he's not going to be an offensive coordinator forever. So then after 3 years, you have to find a new offensive coordinator. And now Drake May has to learn a whole new system, right? And then you rinse and repeat that you have the potential of every 2 to 4 years, you have to hire a new offensive coordinator, right? Because Mike Vrabel is your head coach. He's not an offensive coordinator guy. Like he's not an offensive mind. So I looked at it from that angle saying, well, one, I hate the lust for the nostalgia, right? The dynasty nostalgia. And also if Drake May is the guy, I want the offensive mind to stick with him. Like I don't need a new guy coming in every 2 to 4 years and he has to learn a brand new system. So that's where that's where I was at, and that's why I was all in on Ben Johnson. Um, but since they've hired Vrabel, okay, I'm coming around, right? Because Vrabel he's saying all the right things. It remains to be seen what this team is going to look like in 9 months, right? When the season starts. But he's saying all the right things. And it appears as if the ship has begun to be rightened. Written. He's righting the ship, um, as it were, because they were an absolute fucking dumpster fire this year.
So it's a difference of opinion, right?
Mhm. Right,
Because I looked at this team from this past season and I felt as though there was no way that a young head coach with no experience could come in here. You had a severe lack of talent.
right.
So, this is a legitimate question I don't know the answer to. Can Ben Johnson run an offense with no talent? Because the
That's
guys
a
he
good
has in
question.
Detroit are pretty fucking good right now.
Yeah,
And that's both skill positions, receiver, running back, tight end. They're all good players. And on the offensive line.
yeah, yeah. They
So,
have arguably the best offensive line, or certainly top five offensive line in the NFL. That's not arguable. That's fact, not opinion. A top five offensive line. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery as their
and
top five skill position
I
players.
think the only players that were not there when he took the job, when he started as an OC, because he was not the OC prior to 2022. He was on the staff, but he was not OC.
Right,
They switched Swift for Gibbs, and then they signed David Montgomery.
right.
So good signings, good draft, good switch one for the other. I'm with you. Um, does Ben Johnson not only come into this team that has no skill, there is
Right,
no fucking skill on this team.
right.
You also don't have all of the correct positions that an NFL team requires. So you need to get that first. Then you do not have the skill. And he has to learn how to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was the issue with Mayo. That was the disaster year,
no, I think
right?
he's just a bad
He
coach.
clearly
Right now,
wasn't
right
he
now he's a
clearly
bad
wasn't
coach.
ready. He wasn't ready.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think he was ready to coach. I don't think he was ready to run an organization. And his defense was fucking atrocious,
Yeah.
which that's the thing that's fucking crazy. Like
With the same roster.
you get that from time to time, like when Brandon Staley went to the Chargers and it's like he's a defensive mind. The defense was terrible. The
Yeah.
defense was absolutely awful.
Right.
Um, so that's like the concern. And for me, the other concern is so I did want somebody that had experience. So I my uninformed shortlist was Flores, Vrabel, Gruden. Like amongst those three, I would like to see one of those three.
Right.
Now, obviously, there's a pro and con with all of those guys.
Right.
The other piece is I don't know if a Ben Johnson, and we're just picking on him because he's the hot name, right? Last year
Right.
was Slowick. He didn't get hired. It's Ben Johnson now. I don't know if he has the balls to tell Robert Kraft, like being like, oh, I think we should, draft this guy, or I don't want to pay that guy. It's like, no, we need some fucking players around here.
Right.
Like
Right.
Kraft might actually listen to Vrabel.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Jonathan wants to spout off, fucking Vrabel will put him in a locker, like fucking
Yeah.
dork.
Yeah.
So the organization, and that's the problem. The organization's in a really, really tough spot. And I hope this doesn't turn out with the same logic of Mac Jones. Like most people, when they drafted Mac Jones, go, well, you needed to pick a quarterback. So I believe it was the right draft pick, even if I don't love the guy.
Right.
It was not the right draft pick. Now, I don't know what you do for quarterback
Right.
in 2021 if you don't take him,
Yeah, I mean,
because it was still too
well,
early for Baker Mayfield.
yeah, I was gonna say that the story was that Bill wanted Baker.
But I think that was the next season.
Yeah. Yeah, because he wanted to trade Mac Jones after his rookie
Yeah.
year.
And that's the problem is this place is in such disarray that I think you needed someone with experience, someone that will demand respect, like in the locker room, in ownership, in the organization, of the fans. Like Jordan Mayo was a clown. And
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate because he just did not know how to compose himself. If you would just shut the fuck up, no one would have even cared.
Right.
But you opened your mouth, and that's the problem.
Yeah. And every time he opened his mouth, it was something different.
And it was worse, pretty
Yeah.
much.
It was like you literally just said the complete opposite yesterday.
Yeah, it's not great. So
Yeah.
could he have been put in that position? Probably not. At the time, was I would like, I guess we'll see. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what I think that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what do I know?
Yeah.
Nothing really.
Someone made a
Um,
really good
I
point.
was more again, I was more concerned with front office issues, but
Right. So someone made a really good point about Mayo that he spent his entire career in New England. So he played under Bill. He only ever played under Bill, right? He played for maybe 7, 8 years, retired, went to go work at Optum as a, white collar job. Then he came back as a coach under Bill on Bill's staff. So they said the only environment he ever knew was under Belichick as a player and a
yeah, and
coach. And he
it was
goes, that's not enough to be a head coach in the NFL.
he also
You need to experience other franchises, other head coaches, other like schemes and thoughts and ideas and stuff. Like you can't just be one place your whole career.
and I also think whether it was directed or self-chosen or both, the like so quick to like rid themselves of Bill Belichick was a fucking massive mistake. Because
Yeah.
not only do you guys look retarded now,
Yeah.
it's like it was not necessary to do that.
Right.
It provided you guys no benefit.
Right.
And now a lot of people looking back being like, oh, should have known day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Um, and this is the interesting thing. Now you said some things that make this next piece very interesting because it sounds like right now on Tuesday the 14th, it sounds like the guy for the offensive coordinator is Josh McDaniels, which a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, great, another retread. Great, another retread. Well, Josh McDaniels in New England hasn't had a bad offense. Now, there was a guy wearing the number 12 uniform,
Yeah.
and Mac Jones looked good for one season, but Cam Newton and Jared Stidham did not look good for one season
Right.
under him. But they scored points. So like they still put points on the board.
Right. Right.
They just didn't look very good. So whatever on that one. But Josh McDaniels has done it here, still lives locally, cannot be a head coach.
Right.
He has shown that he cannot, will not, he is fucking done.
Yeah. I
And the
did
quarterback
see
and the
that they
quarterback's already
were,
here.
yeah, I did see that they had a scheduled interview with Josh McCown too to be the offensive coordinator.
And he was in the
Minnesota.
game last night. Is he in Minnesota
Yeah. He's
as
under
OC?
Kevin O'Connell he's the OC there, yeah.
Yeah. And then
Which again, it's kind of weird. It's kind of goofy in that situation where that's
how much is
almost
he doing?
like again, yeah, I was gonna say
Because what
I
just
don't want to
happened?
conflate these two potential names, but it's similar to Andy Reid's offensive coordinator, right? And again, I'm not comparing Kevin O'Connell to Andy Reid, but Andy Reid calls the plays, develops the scheme. He does everything, right? The offensive coordinator kind of just like does whatever. Kevin O'Connell develops the scheme, calls the plays, does all that stuff. What does Josh McCown do? Right. So like,
As I say, the only thing with Josh McCown is you guys want someone that's been traveled. He has traveled. That
yeah.
guy fucking has been in a few schemes.
Yeah. He's played for
Um,
17 different teams.
it's something crazy,
Yeah.
something absolutely preposterous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but so then that doesn't really quell the fear though of, the guy who comes in, establishes the program. Also, that was Alex Van Pelt. He didn't call the plays in Cleveland. Stefanski did.
Right.
Um, and they said that was a potential problem. Turns out it was a big problem.
Yeah. It turns out it was
I
a
mean, there were a
bit
lot of
of an
big
issue.
problems, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, like if you want to sort of settle this, I mean, Vrabel McDaniels isn't really necessarily the worst thing in the world. Now,
No, and I think that's a
oh,
good counter to my point about losing the offensive coordinator. I think if you
hmm,
bring in McDaniels, I don't think he's going anywhere.
he can't.
Yeah.
And I will agree with you. Like, I don't love just like, hey, back to the well, back to the well, back to the
Right.
well. But I mean, McDaniels give you something. He's good with quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say what you will about third and long screens, but at least they could complete screens. They haven't been able to complete a screen.
Yeah. True.
Um, so yeah, it's weird. And then just with the offensive head coaches, I still look at the league. Doug Peterson's available too. But anyway, I still look at the league and who is going to be here at the end?
Right.
Probably Kansas City. I don't know where you stand on Buffalo or Baltimore, but the argument kind of stays.
Yeah. There are likely to be three of the last four teams left, right? Like of the four teams playing in divisional weekend, it's probably going to be Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo.
Math. Yeah, yes. Okay, sorry. The Texans could win. Very unlikely.
Yeah. Oh no, no, no.
And
I
then,
meant like in general, like in year
oh,
in,
before you
year
even
out
start the season,
basis.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what about those three teams is very apparent about their organization? They have the
Consistency.
quarterback.
Yeah.
The coach has been there in two cases for a long time.
Yeah. Maybe the two longest running now that Bill
It,
got fired.
Tomlin.
Well, Tom, yeah, okay.
Um, and then McDermott's been there a minute.
Yeah.
So then when you look at the West, oh my God, NFC, Jesus Christ.
I knew what you meant.
Fuck, what sport is it? Detroit, they're probably a Final Four team.
Yeah.
They probably play in the NFC Championship. Philly,
Yep.
it's probably Detroit, Philly.
Yeah.
Do you trust, and we've done this before, do you trust either of those teams to beat Kansas City in the Super
No.
Bowl?
Nope.
And I don't think Sirianni's very good. I think he has greatly benefited from phenomenal front office work
Oh yeah.
between
Howie Roseman is unfucking believable.
their drafts and their trade for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I think that front office was so good for this stretch of time that's why the team
Right.
is really good.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh
I
my God,
agree with
Saquon.
that.
I forgot they signed Saquon.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I guess they were just willing to pay him, unlike the fucking dumbass Giants.
True.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's coaching. Coach might hold them back. I don't really know.
Yeah, good.
I don't know if it's the quarterback or the coach that holds them back. I don't. And then Detroit. Dude, they are the Flash. They are the fun team. They're the team that everyone wants to get behind. The lovable losers. The
Yeah.
offense this. Do we really think Jared Goff beats Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl?
Not a chance.
It's kind of where I'm at. So now what is the matchup? It's Lions Commanders
Yep.
and then Philly. Fuck, they just played last night. Philly and the Rams.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean I think that's your NFC Championship, Detroit Philly. And what's Philly gonna do? They're gonna bring back I assume that they'll bring back a very old school style of football, ball control, run it, physical, like
That
go
NFC
ahead.
Championship game,
Go ahead and run with our guys.
pound the under. If you can take
But
the
Mike,
over,
so
whatever
that's
the
the thing though.
over on rush attempts is going to be on both sides, just take that too.
It might go the other way too.
Yeah.
Like Philly might score 35. And Detroit will get 20.
Yeah. Could be.
I just don't know how the health of that defense is going to really show up.
Surprisingly, they're getting healthier. Like Alex
Okay,
Anzalone just
that's
came
in
back last week.
like I said, that was an actual question. I don't know how that health of that defense is.
Yeah. Um, Aiden Hutchinson has been rumored that if the Lions make the Super Bowl, he's going to play in the Super Bowl. I mean,
He might play in this.
he got
He
hurt
might
like
play in the
week
Super
two,
Bowl on
three.
fucking crutches. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna have Zadarius Smith
um,
and Aiden Hutchinson. Alex Anzalone is back. You have Brian Branch in the
listen, if
secondary.
they're healthy, then it's a different take.
Right.
But I would not be surprised to see Philly slow it down, muck it up.
Yeah.
Like Saquon, take these vitamins. You're running a lot today, boy. And yeah, it's you've seen that always since the greatest show on turf.
Right. Right.
Slow it down, muck it up. We got athletes too, and that's what Philly has.
Right.
We're gonna rush four on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I
And
just don't trust any of them to beat Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes.
no,
The
Ravens should have beat them
only
last year. They
team,
just wouldn't run the fucking football.
the only team that I thought could have beat the Chiefs was the Chargers in the AFC, just because of Jim Harbaugh and his fucking voodoo.
Oh, so this is the thing. If Baltimore plays the football game that they should fucking play. Which if you have Derrick Henry and you don't run it fucking through, and I don't know how Kansas City's rush defense is. Last year was
Pretty
bad.
good.
Is it pretty good this year? That's unfortunate because last year would have been the time to fucking run the fucking football, Ian. No one ran the football against them. No
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So we've done this before. I've nothing's changed on my end. And it comes down to the quarterback head coach combination. Detroit's missing an aspect. Philly's missing an aspect or two.
Yeah,
But I
Kansas
think,
City is tied in third for the best rushing defense in the NFL.
what
So
about Pat? Oh, as measured by yards per
opponent
carry?
opponent yards per rush attempt, yeah. So Baltimore, this is pretty funny because Baltimore is the best. They only allow 3.5 yards per carry. Then it's Denver and Green Bay at 4. And then you have one, two, three, four, 5 teams at 4.1, and Kansas City is one of those 5 teams. So you've got 3.5, and then it's 4, 4, 4.1, 4.1, 4.1, 4.1. So like Baltimore is a whole half a yard per carry better at stopping the ball than anybody else. Than the next best team, I should say. But again, Kansas City is tied for third.
Yep. may also warrant. So this is like the other piece. It may also warrant looking into who Kansas City has actually played, because obviously 2 games against the Raiders
Yeah,
can make stats a little deceiving.
right.
But I mean, if they played legit teams, then yeah, I mean, the other thing too is like, tied for third, but also like tied for eighth in the same breath, because you said 5 teams tied back there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
I mean,
four from 4 to 8 is 4.1.
that's the thing. If it's eight, it's good.
Yeah. Then it's
It's,
4.2, and then there's three teams at 4.3.
yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 0.2 per carry over the course of this. I mean, out of a season, that's like 3 rushes.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, again, it's still good. So it's like last year was your time to run the fucking football against them, and now it seems like that opportunity has at least become more difficult. Um, but yeah, I mean, Baltimore could, again, lack of trust because they haven't.
Yeah.
But to bring it back, eventually bring it back to the Patriots with Vrabel, because that's how this all started. I do think it helps to have an established person,
For
because
sure. Yeah.
even if you look at the teams that we don't necessarily like, D'Amico Ryans is in his something season,
Third or fourth?
so maybe yeah, probably third, maybe set. Was he a rookie head coach last year? No.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway,
I don't think they had a rookie coach and quarterback and play as well as they did.
that would have been
That
crazy.
that would have been insane.
But D'Amico Ryans was like he was an actual defensive coordinator
Holy
previous
shit.
to that. Was he a rookie? He
2023.
was.
So they had a rookie head coach and
And rookie
quarterback.
quarterback.
Wow.
So that might be your outlier,
Yeah.
because that did not work here.
No, it didn't.
Um, yeah, most other people are established. They're established guys.
Yeah.
Washington, Dan Quinn.
Right. It's been around for a long time.
Yep. He coached Atlanta a lot longer than you may think.
Yeah.
And he was the DC in Seattle for Super Bowls.
Yeah. Then obviously he was the DC in
Yep.
Dallas after he left Atlanta.
On Peyton. They got eliminated, but Sean Payton was there.
Right.
Harbaugh was there.
Right.
These are guys who have coached in Super Bowls.
Right.
Raheem Morris, right? Bucks.
No, Todd Bowles. Raheem Morris is the Falcons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
they could have had Belichick and they fucked up.
Um, Either way, Todd Bowles, say what you will,
It's been
he
around
has
for
at
a long
least been
time.
coaching a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he very good? Doubt it. That's probably why they lost. Because again, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this fucking Commanders team. I
He's a
can't fucking get
fantastic
them.
defensive coordinator. I think Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL.
Yeah. Then McVay, Connell, but like all these hot names, they take a while. And
Yeah.
I don't know if the crafts probably don't get the leeway with the fans if the team sucks again and you hired the unknown commodity. But if you hire the known commodity, then you can at least hide for a little bit, be like, yeah, it's going to take Vrabel some time. Like,
Right.
he's got to get his guys, his system. It's got to like work it out.
Right. Right.
But if you, God forbid, you do bring in the guy from Detroit, I already forgot his name,
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. You bring him in from Detroit and then they suck and the offense sucks. It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are we doing here? And that would be my thing is how bad is this organization that Mayo couldn't do shit. Ben Johnson comes here, can't do shit. Drake May looks fine.
Yeah,
So how bad is the organization?
right. The other thing too that I saw someone put out there is the free agency pull. And they said you're more likely to get free agents to come play for Mike Vrabel than you are for an unproven rookie head coach that doesn't have, to your point, right, about being established around the league. Like, okay, Ben Johnson knows the Detroit Lions players, right? Because he's been there for the last 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. Maybe he's been longer running through the ranks there. Mike Vrabel has coached, he coached the Titans for 5 years, maybe. He went to Ohio State. He went to the Cleveland Browns, right? Like
Well, he was the DC for the Texans
he was
too.
the DC for the Texans for a while. Like he's been around the league. Like he knows players. And they said that well I said like what I saw people were talking about on Twitter. Um, they said that was a more of a draw too because again he's more likely to get you a free agent than Ben Johnson, right? Because he has the relationships around the league with
Well,
players.
and I believe with the types of free agents that you probably want for team building,
Right.
not polishing off a contender. Like,
True.
because if you, so say fucking Ben Johnson goes to Cincinnati, like, like they just
Yeah.
pull up and they did not fire Zach Taylor. Let's create an alternate world where they did.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I'm going to Cincinnati because it's Burrow, it's Chase, it's Higgins, which needs to be signed. But like, you're kind of just polishing that up. It's
Right.
already good,
Right.
which is why he probably hasn't got his ass fired. Or like even, Atlanta pulls the rug out from Raheem Morris and he goes
Yeah.
there. And it's
Or
like,
if Ben Johnson goes to Jacksonville. I mean, they have Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, yep.
Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram.
And then, so yes. And then if Jameson Williams is not a free agent, is he a free agent? He might be a free
I don't
agent.
know, but they just signed Gabe Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, I mean, he's your
I'm
deep
sure,
guy.
I'm sure that went out. I'm sure that's gone really nicely for them so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Montgomery might go like again, whatever these contracts state, like a couple, like yes, a couple guys could follow him
Right. Right.
if you're polishing a contender. We're not doing that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would be really nice if it fucking worked out. And this is the other piece is like I see where how bad the organization is, but in this day and age of the NFL, so last year's Patriots team won 4 games. If you're telling me that Mike Vrabel can't win 7 just by showing up without even going back through the games to see which ones were or weren't winnable, but just picking blind,
Yeah.
you're going to tell me that he can't win
I think
7 or 8 games with that roster just showing up?
with the same roster that this year, if it was Vrabel, I think they probably would have won 6 games.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, yeah, because the other piece is remember, like I think Drake May is good, but he lost a bunch of games this year,
Yeah.
like late picks and other bullshit. Maybe Vrabel doesn't. He creates a system where maybe those plays aren't called with the
Right.
rookie who seems to just be kind of slinging it wherever.
Right. Right.
Or maybe they run the football, or maybe they have offensive line. Who the hell knows, right?
Right. Right.
So, like, I would think that their over under for next year, which won't come out until after free agency and after the draft, but let's even just say they have a competent offseason. Not great. You don't need to hit, but like, draft a lineman, make a couple good signings. Would you be surprised if their over under was 7.5?
No. Nope.
And would you have to like actually be like, I wonder who they're playing?
Yeah, well,
What did these other teams do? Because it's like
I saw
over under.
someone posted it's that Savage Boston on Twitter that is just so obnoxious that Shout out to Eric, friend of the show. He's been on before. Eric O'Brien just rips this dude all the time. Every time he tweets something, and he tweeted the Patriots schedule next year and goes, the floor is 8 wins. And Eric was like, you can't say that, dude. This team is terrible. You can't say
Well,
the
they didn't go through.
floor for next season is 8 wins.
Yeah,
And I
not
go,
until you go through
so
free agency in the draft.
I replied to him and I go, that's an absolute asinine take. We haven't done anything in free agency or the draft. The only thing you have is a coach. You have no idea what this team is going to look like next
You don't
year.
even know the
You
OC.
also you also have no idea what those other teams are going to look like next year.
That's the other piece. Like, what if the Saints get anything?
Right. Right. Like so to sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, no, the floor is 8 wins." No, man, you're fucking stupid. The floor is 4 wins. That's the
That's the
floor.
floor. It
That's the floor.
cannot be worse than this year.
It's 4 wins
Cannot.
next year.
Actually, it could. You kept everything the same,
Yeah,
and Drake
yeah,
May gets hurt.
yeah.
That's how it's worse than last
The
year.
ceiling, probably 10 wins, right? You're gonna be somewhere.
They would have to have
You have to
a,
overachieve and you have to have a horseshoe up your ass. You
so,
gotta you gotta get lucky a couple games.
but they also need an A plus off season.
True. But that's what I mean. You're somewhere between 4 and 10, which means probably gonna win six.
I would like to think that a that offseason can't be as bad as last year. The coach is not as bad as last year. Drake May can't be as bad as last year. I would hope that by just not being a stupid organization, 7.5. And then never mind, like I don't know if there's a splash to make, but like God forbid you do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the rumors now are that AJ Brown wants out of Philly and they're gonna trade for AJ Brown. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, here we go. Here we gotta another 2 months of this.
AJ Brown, huh? To do what?
Yeah,
To do what?
yeah.
I love
It's
AJ Brown. I don't love that he's reading books on the sidelines and he's shot his way out of two towns, but
right, right.
that's my thing. To do what?
Yeah, yeah. I'm good. Also, I think is he 28, 29? He's been around a long time.
That N'Keal Harry draft. Ain't that old. He's old, but not that old.
He's 27. He'll be 28 next season. So you got 3 years
Listen, you need. So this is the thing.
before the wheels start to get rusty.
So when I say AJ Brown to do what? Well, if yes, well, if so, I'm actually good making a move for AJ Brown. I like the receiver. I like the player. Um, if he'll play for Vrabel, cool. Because he ain't coming here if he won't play for Vrabel.
Right.
Whatever that relationship was. Sounds like it was the GM, whatever. Don't know. This implies that you figure out the offensive line. This implies that you have a plan on defense.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm good with that. But the offensive line has to be addressed, and you need a plan defensively.
Right.
And I think that offensive line has to be the draft pick.
It's got to be. They have to take a
It
tackle
has to
at
be.
4. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? If they make some big splash in free agency and sign a tackle, then obviously they're not going to draft one.
Ain't out there.
Well, they're not going to draft one at 4. They might still draft one in the second or third round and
Fine.
hope that he can develop.
Yep, fine, no problem.
But we'll see. We got to get through free agency first, and that'll tell you what their plan is. Because if they sign no one, then you're like, well, they better be fucking drafting one at 4.
To say if they sign no one, 6.5.
Yeah. So, uh, yeah, I was gonna try and get into the whole offensive scheme between the Air Hard and the West Coast system, but I'll save that for another day.
Yeah, I also got. I don't have that in me.
I went deep down a rabbit hole
I
once I
know.
figured.
I
Yeah.
noticed you did. I do not have time for that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up. So I can predict the next natural disaster.
All right.
So my background for this
Datztrodamus.
is my employee booked a trip to Hawaii, place caught on fire. She booked a trip. She took like I think some of the refunds and the credits and whatever and booked a trip to Clearwater, Florida, underwater. And like the timing obviously matches up. It's not like she booked the trip to Hawaii for like now and it was like it was on fire last year. Like
Right.
it timed out correctly.
Hmm.
And you will be disappointed to know to Hawaii. So I don't know if it's going to be a tsunami or an
Oh,
earthquake,
Jesus.
but the island of Oahu. And it will
Oh,
be
that's
sometime
fine. She can have
it'll
Oahu. Stay the
uh
fuck away from Maui.
between yeah, I'd say it'll occur in the next 4 weeks or so. 4 to 6 weeks.
All right.
So that's my prediction. That's what's happening next.
I'll have to bookmark this.
Yep.
Someone remember this. I mean, you will. We will, but
I'll remember. All someone has to do is tell me like, oh wow, like a fucking
oh,
a
did you see
meteor
what
hit
happened in
Oahu.
Hawaii?
Like I don't even need to know. I
Yeah.
already knew.
Yeah. I called this. I called this a month ago.
Yep. So her luck is fucking terrible. So
All
something
right.
has to happen to Hawaii.
Yeah. Tell her to stop fucking going to Hawaii.
I told her she can go to France.
Yeah, you should.
France would be a
Yes.
great place for her.
I think that's where she should go next. Yeah. She should definitely book a trip to France. I support that wholeheartedly. Um, all right. So my final thought is a funny one. So RyanAir, which I think is an Irish airline, um, is demanding that the airports that they fly out of, right? So every airport that services RyanAir, they are asking, or I should say demanding, that those airports limit passengers to 2 alcoholic drinks before boarding flights. Because, and this is hilarious again, because it is an Irish airline. And obviously there's the stereotype of Irish people being drunken, you know, dullards, if you will. Um, but the number of passenger incidents doubled per quarter in 2024. So the company reported 200 to 250 disruptive passenger incidents per quarter last year, up from 100 in 2019. Among various actions, it's pursuing I think that's pounds, a 15,000 pound or 15,000 euro. I don't know what they use. I think, yeah, I think it's the pound. So a 15,000 pound legal claim against one passenger whose behavior forced a flight diversion and an overnight stay for 160 passengers. RyanAir also says that airports bear responsibility, although industry groups deny that, arguing that airlines should exercise their right to refuse boarding instead. So basically, you got finger pointing, right? The airline is saying you need to stop serving them, and the airport is saying you need to not let them on your plane. So I think I agree with the airport here. Say like, just don't fucking let them on your plane.
Let's just give a little bit of background on Ryanair. From their Wikipedia page, An Irish ultra low cost airline. Okay. Ultra low cost,
Spirit.
right. Ireland's biggest airline, and in 2016 became the world's largest airline as measured by scheduled international passengers. Um, the company has at times been criticized for its refusal to issue invoices for the VAT exempt services it provides, which is airfares. I don't exactly know how that one works. That's like so like Michaela bought like some bags and shit, so they give you like a little voucher so you can get a rebate on taxes you like international taxes you pay.
Okay.
It's a weird thing. So it's like some people will go over there and they'll buy like really expensive stuff like fucking bags and whatever. Um, so like you might get a rebate of like a few $100. I think like Michaela got one for like 28. And like the other one is like not to be found. And she's like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Poor working conditions, heavy use of extra charges, poor customer service, and a tendency to intentionally generate controversy in order to gain publicity. Huh. Uh, Revenue 13.44 billion last year, income 1.9 billion. So ultra low cost airline netting 1.9 billion dollars.
Wow.
And then if you go down on the Wikipedia page to hold on. Oh, accidents and incidents. 2021, false bomb threat, something Belarusian, whatever. That actually sounds like it has almost nothing to do with the actual airline, so we're not gonna go with that. October 3rd, 2024. That sounds recent.
Yeah.
When these people are drinking too much, RyanAir plane caught fire while taxiing for takeoff, leading to the passengers being evacuated in the airport Brindisi, Turin? Oh, Torino, Italy. Brindisi Airport being closed for 3 hours. Italian lawmakers who cited the multiple incidents involving RyanAir in 2024 demanded an investigation into the company's safety practices, while the Italian Civil Aviation Authority in a parliamentary hearing with the authority's leaders. Blah, 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 blah. I only bring all that up because it sounds like RyanAir is doing a couple things. One, sounds like they're doing fine. An ultra low cost airline grossing
Yeah.
1.9 billion or netting 1.9 billion and being the most popular in the world, if you use that metric, and especially with a reputation for generating controversy to improve your notoriety.
Right.
So understood, accepted. I actually appreciate your tactics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Credit to you.
No publicity is bad publicity.
Mm. Airlines can have bad publicity. Actually, there's not much good. So appreciate your tactics. It doesn't sound like this is going to amount to anything. It sounds like it's just another one of their methods. So, yeah, actually, you know what? Credit to them because it doesn't sound like they actually believe that. It
Right.
sounds like they're just trying to piss people off so people pay attention and look up and find out, like, oh, wow, this place is popular. Oh, and I can fly for fucking super cheap. Because I actually think I looked one time to do like some scatterbrained like preliminary thoughts of like fly to Ireland for 3 days, fly to Italy for 3 days, and just kind of like see what that looks like. In the flight from like Dublin to one of the cities in Italy was like $50.
Yeah, I mean that's Europe. Like it's super cheap to
Yeah.
travel between countries in Europe.
But if this airline is like that, that means like
Yeah.
you got to pay to take a piss. You got to pay for a carry-on. You got to pay for a personal item. You got to pay to fucking use the bathroom, which I saw that in the Rome terminal or the Rain train station. You got to pay to take, literally, you had to pay to take a piss. I just said that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
€1 to take a piss. I literally walked up to it. I saw there was like a fuck. You had to like scan your card. I go, no. I turned right around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
need to piss
that's
that bad, I
yeah,
guess.
that's stupid.
Well, because it's free to piss on the train. Like, it only costs money to piss in the station. So I did like so I looked at it, yeah, again, like it's not going to be 59 bucks because then obviously it's like, well, that's euros.
Right,
Well,
right.
what if I pay you in Deutschmarks? Uh, so whatever. Actually, you know what? I'll applaud the effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair, right? It's a good
Why
job.
not? Why not? Because it's bullshit. I don't believe they actually believe that shit.
No, no, it's just to drum up
Yeah,
their name, right? And get their name out there. So,
yeah. I mean, we're talking about it.
yeah. Hey, shout out to RyanAir. Next episode, they'll be our title sponsor.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Check out the show notes below. Support the sponsors like RyanAir, and get a get a discounted flight from 25 cents off.
Promo code needed.
Yeah, yeah, no promo code needed. And yeah, until next time, the next time, speaking of, will be the 2025 Celebrity Death Pool. So if you're still listening, congrats. That's the Easter egg for next episode. So until then, good night, everybody.